All right, y'all, let's get into it. Now, this is what Hitboy stands here when they hear Hitboy and Nas. You know what I mean? They like, some kind of crazy relationship, musical genius. Shout out to Pete Rock, of course. This is what I hear when I hear Hitboy. This bullshit.
It's gonna fit this thing.
This is what I hear when Hitboy and Nas get together.
We're gonna need a control room to see what Ludacris really thinks of it.
Moving on. Sometimes I wonder, for real, man, how many whack albums can we get from Nas and Hitboy? So obviously, not a fan of this. You already know I wasn't a fan of any of them joints going back to the beginning. And I don't think any of these songs hold up. I don't think they will ever hold up. And I think this will be the wackest entry in his discography, period. All of these Hitboy albums are the worst Nas albums I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. So I looked at the cover of the finale. Nigga thinks he's singing, Frank Sinatra or something. But, I mean, it's sleepy. Frank Sinatra wasn't sleepy necessarily, right? Frank Sinatra was sophisticated and made, great, energetic music in his own style, in a sophisticated, kind of laid back, but, charming style. Obviously, Hitboy doesn't have the chops to make that kind of shit. So, essentially, what Nas has done is made sleepy, scatterbrained music for, 3 years straight or whatever, across 6 albums. None of them... you can't tell any of them apart. They have different names, but other than that, what's the difference between Magic and King's Disease, really? You know what I mean? They just have different names. You know what I'm saying? You could throw the tracks across: Black Bentley, Black Car, Black Uzi. It doesn't even fucking matter, right? Now, I think this run that Nas has had with these albums, this run that the internet loves to talk about, or Force, is the most legendarily trash run that I think I've ever heard of, from especially of a rapper of that caliber. I was in BK. Shout out to all my people in Brooklyn. I was there for a few days, just a quick trip. But I'll talk about that another time, because whenever you go to New York is like home to me. So there's certain things that, when I get to New York, I just feel at home. And right away, certain things where I'm just like, yeah, this is hip hop. This is the land of hip hop. Stuff that just happens, or you observe, where you're like, this wouldn't happen nowhere else. Anyway, I'll talk about that another time. But I did remember talking to a cat. Shout out to my man Fredericks. Anyway, industry dude. But just name checked him, man. So we were just talking about hip hop in general. I actually met him outside of the Book of Hove exhibit at Brooklyn Museum. So some of y'all who follow me on IG saw that, when I posted it. I used to live around there, man. So it's kind of wild, actually, to see that. But, we had some hip hop conversations. I remember talking to another cat around Bedvon. For those of y'all who know Bedvon Brew, up in Bed-Stuy. And I was having a conversation with this other cat. And he was basically saying how, these Nas albums, nobody talks about them shits, man. These KD, Nas, that's how you know the shit is trash. Real talk. Nobody in Brooklyn is playing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Not because it's Queens or Brooklyn. It's not like that. It's because literally them shits ain't hitting, son. Nobody's playing these records. Really. You know what I'm saying? On the internet, there's maybe 100 or 200 or whatever. There's a couple of stands forcing it in their bubble. But obviously these releases continue to go triple wood. And in real time, nobody's listening to this shit. Really. Okay, and that's pretty much exactly what the dude was telling me. It was just nobody's listening to this shit. And it's yeah, that's the truth. Now, when I say that, people go, oh, told you a hater. What do you mean by nobody? I listen to it. Yeah, you're part of the nobody, okay? With all due respect, when we say nobody, it doesn't mean zero. What we're basically saying is that most hip-hop listeners, people that like hip-hop and consume hip-hop and love that shit, most of them haven't listened to this King's Disease stuff, and or don't give a shit, right? And it's here today, gone tomorrow, okay? I can't even remember, was it Magic 2 that just dropped? Or King's Disease 2? What was it that just dropped before? And halfway, Nas was halfway through, by the time you hear this, we'll be halfway through the next bullshit release, right? Next surprise album. Anyway, let's go through these tracks. I mean, what's the point of them? You know I don't like any of these tracks, so like, surprise. So I'll go track by track because y'all want me to go track by track. So anyways, this song Fever, TSK. This was one of the better songs, I say. And look, when I say better, I'm saying like 5 out of 10 better. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of them to me are like non-starter songs, right? These are 3 out of 10 joints type of thing. So when you start to hit the 5 out of 10, I take notice, right? Because the mediocrity is so obvious. I'm just like, oh shit, this is actually like, it's still mediocre, but at least like, it's not 100% trash. It's only like 90% trash, right? So TSK had a little bit more energy. I think that's probably why, like, again, I'll never listen to the song again, but I think I kind of gravitated a little bit where I was like, oh. Now, this one, Superhero Status. It's a shadow! Fuck, that shit is annoying, man. Whatever the hell that vocal was, that was trash. It doesn't fit. I don't even know why that was in there. So the song tries to have, some more energy, but there's no real feeling here. Again, another, whack record. Nas has a song now called I Love This Feeling. The drums are sleepy as fuck. And I don't know what the fuck Nas is talking about on this song. No tears, I skip. Nas and Lil Wayne Never Die. Yeah, this was garbage. But the thing that I thought was interesting, I saw a comment where somebody was like, wow, Wayne really committed to the same flow the whole time for his whole verse, and that's a sign of a goat. That's when a bot tries to do damage control, when it's like clearly obvious that like this nigga's like not really performing that well, and why the fuck is he even clinging to the same flow the entire verse? So you try to do reverse damage control and make it seem like, damn, it's some genius. Like, nah, it's not genius. The beat's shit. So like, in fact, actually with a boring beat like this, you kind of want to switch up the flow a little bit to at least make it seem like, you're doing something. The only time when it makes sense to kind of stick with the same flow, the entire verse, is, the classic example is Put Your Eyes on My Ass and See, right? Hit you with no delay, and so what you saying, yo, silly with my 9 milli, what the dilly, yo, when I get on the mic, I do my duty, yo, right? Same flow, but the beat is nuts, right? It's literally a bonkers beat. It's a beat, when that beat came out, there had never been a beat like that, right? There still isn't really a beat like that. It's one of the greatest beats in hip-hop history. It's some wild shit. So, yeah, when you have a beat that's like some next level wild shit, that's incredible, sometimes it makes sense to just stick with the same flow because you don't want to take away, the beat is doing the heavy lifting, so you want to give it the maximum opportunity to shine, and then your pocket is just, you fit right in pocket with it. So it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's great enough for people to get into it because sometimes the beat is just so weird that you need to keep certain things sort of stable. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, It Never Died doesn't make sense and doesn't work because it sucks. Now, Nas, Pretty Young Girl. This was sleepy as fuck. This sounded like some like trash imitation Premier beat. This was terrible. Based on True Events Part 1. Okay, so now this is again, look man, I've been listening to Nas a very long time, okay? So I'm used to hearing Nas at a certain quality level, okay? A lot of these new cats who are jumping on, it was amazing, and like Hitboy is incredible. Obviously, they didn't grow up listening to Nas. And they actually probably don't even listen to Nas, period. They haven't gone back to actually listen to what makes him great. They don't know what makes him great. They just know he's famous, and they want that internet clout. They want to seem like they're down with something famous. Cool. But the fact of the matter is that this story is fucking lazy, right? Nas is a guy who's rhymed many stories. So when I listen to Based on True Events Part 1 and Part 2, I'm like, this is fucking boring. This is like way beneath the level that Nas would rhyme at, right? From a detail perspective, from what he's actually saying. This story's all over the place. Like, it starts off with a girl, then it ventures off into some random $500,000 mention, which is it just seemed like a bunch of stitched together, like rhymes and verses. And then it ends with a girl again. I'm like, what is this about again? Like, dull. Now, Based on True Events Part 2, Let's see. Well, the swingless drums obviously make this a non-starter. But there is a line in here that I actually thought was okay. Again, not amazing, but he says, try to tell himself not to panic, don't go too far. But what's the law of averages when you don't broke laws? It's a decent line. It's a good question. I mean, and obviously it goes to the heart of like when you're already on the wrong side of the law, taking chances, right? Like, I mean, what's too risky? It's hard to gauge what's too risky and what's not. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, so it's a decent line. But I mean, the story's boring. It's like it's a setup. Okay, Nas has literally done songs about setups, right? This is boring. Check those songs out, okay? For those of y'all who claim to love It Was Written and all that shit. Check out the songs that Nas has done about setups and then listen to this song. And you're gonna see the quality gap like right away, okay? This song is boring, right? So some do the setup. Why? We don't know why. You know what I'm saying? It just happens. It's boring as fuck. The details are dull, okay? He's in Spain. He comes back and he gets shot. Okay, so what? You know what I'm saying? And then Nas is on IG scrolling or whatever, and like, oh, he did, damn. What? That's whack. Let's see here. Nas, sitting with my thoughts. I mean, this could have been decent if the drums weren't so stiff and boring. Obviously, if it wasn't so Hitboy. But I do think that this is actually probably so far the best song. You know what I mean? Nas rhymes with a little more energy. But this is Hitboy's problem. Hitboy doesn't have beats strong enough to really give Nas a real feeling. And I'm pretty sure that I get the sense that Nas doesn't care, and he will just record some shit fast and is like, all right, I'm out, do whatever it is you want to do with the shit. And that's why he's working with Hitboy, because Hitboy will allow him to do that shit. Whereas someone like a Primo or Pete Rock or, a producer worth of salt is going to be like, nah, fix that. That shit's garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get better rhymes here or get better vocals or something like that. Hitboy is happy to be around and alive for the run, right? He's happy to just be around, and that's cool. But that's I hate to say it, man, but that's dick rider behavior, right? And obviously, a dick rider will never really make a great beat. So, Blue Bentley, they both hit my line. I might crush them like soda cans. I kind of like that. I was crush them like soda cans. Good visual, but again, not crazy. It's not a crazy bar, but it's, Nas has these little moments where it's like that would have even been like a lesser throwaway bar for Nas in his prime, and it's still a good bar. You know what I mean? So this song was a bit humorous. The beat was shit, of course. And I put here like, if Nas is struggling to date, Nas is a superstar rapper who is like a millionaire probably. If he's struggling to date, that's not a good sign, man. I was listening to this shit like, damn, that shit is hard out here in these streets. And almost depressed afterward, Anyway, now we get to Nas, Japanese Soul Bar. First of all, what's with these boring titles? Again, this is a thing that I've said across all the King's diseases and magics and tragics and all plastics and Mid's diseases and all that shit. These boring titles, you can tell that the song is mediocre right off the rip just by the title, right? Japanese Soul Bar. So vague. It's so boring. It's so like, it's like toilet bowl cleanser or like tuna for breakfast or a comfortable pillow. Like if I saw that as a title by Nas song, I already know I'm gonna be, I'm gonna hear some trash, and I'm gonna look at the credits and I'll know Hitboy probably made that beat. Let's see here, and then the last track, 1-800 Nas and Hit. Yo, I couldn't get through this thing at all. Like I think I listened to the like 15 seconds. It was so whack I couldn't even like continue. I literally I just couldn't do it. So here we go, man. That's kind of a speed review, but honestly, man, I can't really say much about an album that I honestly didn't care for. And frankly, I'm not gonna waste my time dissecting an album that I don't think they really put in the time to craft something incredible. I just don't think it's worth my time. To be real with you, I'm out here running around. I'm doing stuff with Tiff. Just made some new merch, some long sleeve shits now, so you can check them out on bloodworldtv.com, right? Like the stuff's fire, man. Look at this shit, right? Look, right? So I'm out here, Tiff, taking meetings and all that. I don't have time to dissect some goofy Nas album that like clearly was thrown together, like the last 5. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully. But I love y'all. Y'all, my fans that support me and all that. And I'm a hip hop dude, so of course I'm gonna get around to it. But it's not something I'm gonna like jump and be like, oh, Nas and Hitboy released the 6th bullshit album. Let me go check that and give a reaction right away. Nah, like, yeah, nah. Anyway, I think what's sad about all this is that, again, there's zero growth to me. I look at all this stuff and I'm like, again, the tracks are interchangeable, the projects are interchangeable. You've got a song called Blue Bentley, another song called Blue Benz. It's like, this shit's worse than Nasir, man. This is, you know what this is? This is Sixstradamus, okay? This is Sixstradamus. This is some bullshit, okay? Nas has just dropped 6 whack albums, whack as fuck albums in a row, right? I mean, and the only reason why it sounds okay on the internet to even like kind of have this like run talk is because the people who are talking about these runs don't know rap and they don't listen to rap like that. They know narrative. Narrative is what they're more invested in. Who likes who's more celebrity, who's more popular, right? That's what they care about. But they don't care about the actual music. They don't discuss the music, and they don't care about the music like that. I'm not a celeb chaser dude. I never have been and never will be. So I'm in it for the music, honestly, but man, and the music here is weak. Now, I think Nas's run with this trash reflects how hip-hop is just stuck, honestly, in mediocrity. And Nas can just Nas can literally shit out 20 more of these. King's Disease 20. Y'all ready for that? Magic 57. You know what I mean? Hip-hop's just going to continue to release this bullshit. If new guys don't step up and kick Nas out the game, and I say that respectfully as somebody that loves Nas and is very much inspired by his music, if the new guys don't step up and actually like try to make stuff that's even better than Nas's best work, Nas and these pioneers will continue to sit and just give you bullshit albums, and you'll dick ride and dick suck in the comments, but damn well them shits don't hold up, and you'll be just begging for them to mention you or something like that to hopefully get your clout up, instead of just saying, you know what, man, fuck them niggas, let me just outdo them, you know what I'm saying, and get real clout. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think 6 albums is actually really laughable. I don't think I would have ever imagined that such a thing would ever happen, especially with like someone obviously on the level of Nas. You couldn't have told me that this would have been a thing. You've had 6 tries, 6 full-length tries to make one classic song. So you've recorded, by this time, what, hundreds? And not one of these shits is classic. That's insane. I don't know if people really sit and think about this shit. None of these songs will ever be added to Nas's set list. None of them could compete with even Nas's like B tier unreleased joints. So what was the point of all this, really? You know what I mean? If Nas and Primo in Primo's prime had recorded 6 straight albums, I guarantee you 5 of those albums would have been fucking classic. Absolute classics. Right? If not all 6. Hitboy is in his prime and can't deliver one classic song. What does that tell you? Anyway, one thing I want to talk about very briefly, obviously, is these surprise albums. I'm obviously not a fan of them. I think almost all of them are corny. In fact, I can't think of a great surprise album. I'm trying to think, did Drake kickstart the surprise album shit? If you're reading this, it's too late. Was that a surprise album? Because that was like Drake's best work, and maybe he kicked the shit off. Because again, usually when I think of a trend that's played the fuck out and terrible, it's usually started by somebody who actually dropped something decent with that trend, and then everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna do the same shit, right? And just water it down further. So maybe. But in general, I think I'm done with surprise albums. Well, I've been done with surprise albums, but I'm definitely done now. I can never think of a dope surprise album or a song. I mean, Timbaland had a surprise song with Nelly and Justin Timberlake, and that was bullshit. That song sucked. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we gonna take it back to Give It To Me, which I loved, right? I mean, I heard it the day it came out or dropped online or whatever, and I was like, this is classic. This is dope, I wasn't calling it a classic because, again, we weren't desperate like that. The new generation is desperate for love and attention like that. So they call everything classic to seem like they're in the know or to prop up their weak material. But, for us, it was just like, yo, this is dope. And we just kind of left it at that. This is really good. We knew it's something that we probably would play over and over, but that's as far as it went. We weren't like, this is an instant classic. Anyway, it turns out the song is in fact classic. It's a great record. The original one with Nelly and Justin. But this new one is weak. And it's, again, another one of these surprise songs. You only get surprised once. And then after that, you just don't care. In film, in screenwriting, they say, like, weak writing sometimes relies on the surprise factor. So, for example, character, two characters are talking. Let's say they're in the kitchen, like I am. I'm in the bum-ass kitchen, according to my stance. Let's say two characters are in a bum-ass kitchen, right? And they're having a conversation, okay? And all of a sudden, a pirate jumps out of the cabinet and stabs somebody, right? Oh, shit, right? And, you either laugh, you cry, you're shocked, whatever. But if it didn't make sense for the pirate to jump out of the cabinet, and if it doesn't work in the narrative, and if it wasn't done well enough to prep you for that moment, and it doesn't fit, and it doesn't have any staying power, you're shocked the one time, and then after that, you're not going to give a shit. And in fact, you'll probably skip that scene if you ever come back to that movie again, right? And that's the whole point of surprise albums. Surprise albums are like this. They come and they go, Because at the end of the day, it's a shock. Oh shit, they're dropping something. The stands, get together. The bots, of course, the hired bots, try to talk about narrative, clog the comment section. Shit comes out, forgotten. Usually goes triple wood and it's over, right? So no more of these surprise albums. I don't care. I'm much more interested in you announcing that there's an album coming out. You put out one song at least. That's fire. And then I go, oh, I'm anticipating the rest of this. That's usually how these things used to go. And of course, we had better music back then. So on that note, I'm looking forward to the Common and Pete Rock album. I mean, Common and Pete Rock have announced that they want to do work together. That's a pairing that makes sense, considering that Pete Rock has recorded one of Common's best songs in The Bitchin' You, right? And it's a nice pairing because it's like we haven't really seen much of Common and Pete Rock, even though they have made great shit. Obviously, they made Resurrection and they made The Bitchin' You. I'm trying to think if they have ever done anything after that. I don't think so. And that's a collaboration that should have been happened. You know what I mean? They should have done more because, again, P-Rock's a genius. So the reality of the matter is that P-Rock has done amazing work for a lot of rappers and has made a lot of rappers' careers. So when I hear him being paired up with a top-tier rapper, that's an excellent move. That's something that I want to hear. Now, are my expectations high for it? Not really, unfortunately. But, at least they're not just like, here's a surprise album. Because if it was like that, I'd be like, yeah, okay, they're about to drop some mid. That's how these things go. So, long story short, man, not impressed by any of these runs or any of that, narrative nonsense. It's honestly pretty shocking. Real talk. I will say, though, of all the songs that Nas and Hitboy ever did together, if you want to know my honest opinion on the best beat, this is it. This was probably the best beat. Rare. I've been rare form. And I don't even know if Nas even did well on it, to be honest with you. But this is a good beat. It's not a great beat, though. It's good. I mean, I think this stands out more than 99% of the other Hitboy stuff on the album. But again, that's insane that you've recorded 6 albums with a nigga and I can only really pick out one beat that's at best. Get the fuck out of here. I should be like this beat, this beat, this beat, this beat, all shits, all flames, all fire, classic. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what's going to be the case. So these will be forgotten in time because, again, that's how it's always gone with hip hop, man, or just music in general. I know when shit's forgotten, man. We really know. It's like, I'm sure the stands would do their best to make it seem like it's relevant, but we already know that we've already forgotten about all the King's Diseases and Magics. And 10 years from now, we wouldn't even be talking about them, period. It wouldn't even get mentioned. Unless of course Hitboy wants to do a press run or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But fans are not gonna ask him. We don't want to hear this music. It's literally disposable fluff. Surprise! Surprise, Nas, pretend Nas fans. You've been hit with 6 whack albums in a row. Anyway, man, I love y'all. Shout out to everybody who's supporting me, who's copped some of these merch, shirts and stuff like that. Blood World still coming, of course. We're designing that stuff as we speak. All the shirts I'm using, obviously, it helps the development, man, because, I have a little team and we're creating stuff. So people need to be paid. I don't expect people to help me design a project for free. That's not how these things go. So any little thing y'all can do to support is obviously helpful, and it goes towards someone else's mouth. Real talk, so that they can feed their kids or, pay their rent and all that kind of stuff. So hit up bloodworldtv.com. It's a super dope concept. The designs are fire. You already know what it is. Anyway, peace.